Hi there, I'm Alex from Southern Ukulele Store, and this week we are going to take a look at Kanile'a Ukuleles. I can't stress enough what a tonic that is for me as a massive fan of Kanile'a Ukuleles. For the first time in our entire existence as Southern Ukulele Store, going all the way back to 2008, 2009, for the first time we found ourselves with no Kanile'a tenors, no Kanile'a concerts, just a single baritone, just a single soprano, and a waiting list of people that wanted specific models. And we've got them. We've got the K1s, we've got the KSR-Ts, we've got the KPA-Ts, but many of you will be asking, well, what's the difference between each one? And that's what I'm going to show you today. I have made this video before, but every now and again, Kanile'a tweak the specs, and I just like to keep things up to date. It's also a really nice opportunity for us to show off each ukulele that came in on the delivery. So we're going to have 8 ukuleles that arrived just this week. Many of them finished production less than 2 weeks ago. They were finished, someone went, beautiful, and then they just threw it over the ocean and it landed here in Bournemouth. And the other two we're going to look at, one of them is a Sus custom model. We all love our Sus custom models, a Manu Hu baritone, and we're going to take a look at a K1 soprano because there's someone out there in particular that really wants to hear the one we've got. Lots to get on with today. Let's begin. First up today, we're going to take a look at Kanile'a K1 tenors and a little look at the soprano as well. The Kanile'a K1 tenor comes in 4 flavors. In fact, actually, I think officially now 3 flavors. You have Select KoA, Deluxe KoA, and Premium KoA. Now, this is Select KoA, but if you're anything like me, over the years, I've always been a bit baffled how the Select KoA, the kind of most affordable option of the 3, how that can be the one that looks weird and wonderful, because maybe I'm just the kind of person that takes in strays, but I love the unique wood here. I mean, the sapwood here is gorgeous, that contrast of the dark wood and the sapwood, and it's even got some kind of, well, it's got a story to it, hasn't it? Along with the straight grain as well, and it sounds wonderful. The serial number on this one is 26787, so look out for the sound sample on that in a moment. But that's a standard Select KoA ukulele, and this one here is a Deluxe. So what do you get if you go for Deluxe? Well, you get tighter, straighter grain. You get the stuff that's chosen for sound. You get something here. I mean, this is a particularly nice Deluxe KoA one. The back of it as well, really straight. But if you turn it to the side, you get this 3-dimensional element to it too. So when Kanile'a makes something a Deluxe KoA, it's got a tiny bit of drama, which is what they call kind of wood figuring, the kind of sexy wood figuring that everyone's looking for. But actually, most Deluxe KoA Kanile'as have straight grain KoA. Sound-wise, they are kind of the workman's model. They're the one that the people looking for the sound over the look tend to go for. And the spec of a K1 tenor, I suppose, is important as well. You have a UV gloss finish over Hawaiian KoA, have an ebony fingerboard and bridge with Kanile'a's pin bridge. Kanile'a bridge pins are actually made for Kanile'a. They're ebony bridge pins that slot in like a plug. They are not notched anymore, notched plastic pins like you get on an acoustic guitar or a flight ukulele or something with a pin bridge that's more affordable. You have a satin neck, so it feels lived in, it feels played, even when it's not. This one actually has a really cool stripe down the neck, just as I'm looking at it and noticing that for the first time. With a 38mm nut width, and you have open gear Kanile'a tuners on the back. Chrome and black with an ebony faceplate and the Kanile'a logo inlaid in mother of pearl. And on the K1 models, all of the dots are mother of pearl as well. Inside all Kanile'as, of course, you have this True R bracing I'm going to show you now, which is almost a scaffold-like bracing. It's weight relieved, meaning that the top actually touches the bracing only at select points, allowing it to resonate more freely. I think they're gorgeous. I love a K1. There's nothing wrong with the standard model. If you want something that just speaks volumes without having a lot of the bling, the K1 is for you. Let's give both of these a play and see what you think. I love the back on this one. This is K1T standard 26787. Okay. Let's see if the straight grain makes a difference to the sound. And before we move on to the next model, this is the K1S. It's exactly the same spec, but in a soprano size. Kanile'a Sopranos are just a little bit bigger than the average soprano. They still have the 38mm nut width. So if you have big hands but you like small ukes, this is a great choice. Let's give this one a play and see what you think. Okay, next up today we have the KSR-T series, which has a cool story. The KSR-T series was introduced in 2019 at the NAMM show. It represents a changing of the guard at Kanile'a. Before 2019, Kanile'a did things a certain way. If you were looking for professional models, they had, big, chunky, traditional headstocks, and they represented kind of more of a Kamaka, more of a Martin-based attempt at high-end ukuleles. But in 2019, Kanile'a introduced this headstock. A slimline headstock with Goto stealth tuners, and they put it on a professional ukulele. They did some other things as well that year. This was the first model to have a satin neck instead of a gloss neck, so it felt lived in, it felt ready to play from the off. It was one of the first production models to have this beveled armrest here so that you can play with maximum comfort. And it was one of the first models introduced with the true R bracing, that scaffold bracing we've talked about. Before that point, Kanile'a were using still a weight relieved bracing, but with circular holes drilled into it. So if you have a Kanile'a pre-2019, if you look inside it, that's the quickest way to tell the difference without looking at the label. You have the ebony fingerboard and bridge. Before 2019, before this model came along, it was rosewood. And although this isn't the launching point for all of these features, it's the first ukulele to really utilise all of these things and still be relatively affordable in the grand scheme of custom shop and high-end Hawaiian-made ukuleles. I've also had a soft spot for this ukulele because it's the first year that the three sons at Kanile'a really took the centre stage, and Joe and Kristen kind of took a step back. They're still there, they're still doing their thing, but Kaimana, Yokepa and Kahiao are all much more involved in the day-to-day runnings of the business now. The KSR-T was also a big launching point for my own imagination. Our Monaco series tenor was based on the KSR-T with many of the same features. And what are those features once again? Well, you have a Hawaiian koa body. This is a deluxe grade one, so you can see it's got nice tight straight grain. Ebony fingerboard and bridge with the mother of pearl dots, up to that slimline headstock with a traditional edge to it. Kanile'a also make one with a kind of snaky looking curl to it. You have these Goto stealth tuners, which are a really lightweight tuner. And a cool fact about these tuners, every person who's ever bought one of these ukuleles thinks that it's arrived broken, because the tuners actually require a moment after you turn them. After you turn them, they loosen before they actually engage and turn. So as you can imagine, everyone goes to tune it for the first time and they think that the tuner is stuck. It's actually by design to stop the ukulele falling out of tune accidentally on stage. How cool is that? 38mm nut width with that string spacing again mentioned earlier, and you have the satin neck with a gloss body. You do also have this beveled edge, which is hard to spot on this particular ukulele, but is more evident on the next one I'm going to talk about, which is a premium grade Kanile'a KSR-T, which, as you can see, just by looking at it, the premium grade ones don't have the straight grain. They've got a lot more drama to them. They look a bit quirkier, a bit cooler under different lights. And hopefully you can see more of that armrest here on this model. Other than the difference in woods, Deluxe being straight grain, premium being quirky, a bit wacky, I chose this particular premium one because it actually looks almost identical to my Kanile'a Monaco. If you were to look at both these ukuleles, you would think they were the same wood, but this is mango and this is koa. Anyway, the only reason I'm mentioning that is because so many people have commented on my own Kanile'a over the years asking, how do I get one that looks like that? This is the first one I've ever seen that looked just like it. So this is a KSR-T premium. We're going to look at serials 26493 and 26423 now. Lots of people say to me, Alex, if you were going to buy a production Kanile'a, what would you buy? And I can always narrow it down to two options. We're going to look at them both now. The first one is this. This is a Kanile'a K3. Now, from certain angles, this ukulele can look almost standard. But actually, as we go from different angles and we go close up to it, this might be one of the most holographic, most figured ukuleles I've ever seen, at any price, from any builder, at any time. The wood on this ukulele travels in every direction. On camera, you can pick up the horizontal grain in certain lights. In the flesh, you can pick up straight grain, you can pick up diagonal grain. This is as close to master grade koa as you can get without paying for master grade koa. They do exist. I don't think when Kanile'a picked this ukulele, they knew quite truly how beautiful it was going to turn out, because how could you? How could you see the different... Oh, wow, I've actually got it in the light here. Hopefully you can see that at home, folks. And that's what you're looking for with the premium and the master grade woods. It's still a production model, so you have a K1, which is no thrills, it's just good wood, good ukulele. K2 has a bit of binding, and then the K3 has the binding, so a tortoiseshell binding, which is a kind of purpley, ambery colour under certain lights. It doesn't show up that kind of contrastingly against the koa. It's nice and subtle, but you have a really nice figured maple rosette. And I think ukuleles with sound hole rosettes just have that tiny chef's kiss bit of class to them. You have an ebony fingerboard and bridge, once again with the satin neck, a standard Kanile'a headstock with the mother of pearl inlay, and then on the back you have those open gear tuners. All of the other features are the same as you would expect from a production Kanile'a. It has the true R bracing with the scaffolding. You've got the 38mm nut width with the 30mm string spacing at the nut. But the neck profile on a Kanile'a, I can't stress enough, it's not too thick, it's not too thin. It has some girth to it, but the string spacing itself gives you room for your fingers to breathe on the fingerboard. Sometimes things are so pretty, I don't know how to describe them without actually taking something away from them. So let's just take another look at this in silence together, and then I'm going to give it a play for you. Last up today, we're going to take a very special look at the Kanile'a KPA-T series ukuleles. These two KPA-T series perfectly describe the differences between different Kanile'as. They're both premium models, they're both premium wood, they're both the same spec, but they couldn't look more different and tell a more different story visually. But as we look around these ukuleles, we see that they have just a different shade of wood, a different tone, a different timbre to the whole thing, and we're going to play them both for you in a moment. But I think we're going to start with, which one? We're going to start with this one here. So this one here is 26691. Let's look at that. You've got this almost quilting element to the wood, really contrasting colours as well, light browns, dark browns, almost purples in the koa when you shine it in the light. And the KPA-T is largely the same as the K3 model, but with an abalone rosette in place of the maple rosette. Other than that, you still have front binding on this ukulele, you still have the open gear tuners, but on this model they are gold. And one thing I really love about the KPA-T is the abalone Kanile'a logo in the headstock. UV gloss finish, koa bodies. These are premium koa, as I mentioned before, with the tortoiseshell binding on the front. You have satin neck, 38mm nut width, 30mm string spacing. This KPA-T is gorgeous. This other KPA-T is gorgeous. This one is 26665. Both completed just before Christmas. And just wow. Now, I don't know if this is officially the most popular Kanile'a model, but it's definitely the most popular Kanile'a model here at Southern Ukulele Store. It's very rare we have these for more than a week at a time. As of all these ukuleles, check out the links in the description for the individual instruments we've got here. But if you don't see them, then go on our website, search for a KPA-T. We may have something equally as stunning in stock that isn't featured in this exact video. I don't know what else to say. Once again, sometimes the wood needs to do the talking. Let's give the KPA-Ts a play and see what you think. Okay, we're going to end this video now by going back in time a bit and talking about baritones. Now, I should have talked about baritones earlier when I talked about the K1, because this is a K1B Deluxe, but I wanted to save it for the end of the video and put it with the Manu Hu so you can hear two baritone ukuleles back to back. This K1B Deluxe is completely atypical of everything I've said in this video. It doesn't have the straight grain that I was expecting from a deluxe model. It has some premium features to it and lots of nice little bits of sapwood tucked in there as well, and if you put it in different lights you get light and dark. It's stunning. I am a massive Kanile'a baritone fan. I very nearly pulled the trigger on a few K1s in the past before I decided to just go, no, we're going to go for the Manu Hu. But it's so undeniably gorgeous. A Kanile'a baritone has this completely unique sound to it, as you're going to hear in a moment. Standard spec, UV gloss, there's no binding, there's no rosette, but you have an ebony fingerboard and bridge with the mother of pearl dots, mother of pearl inlay with an ebony faceplate on the headstock, open gear tuners, and it's not kind of specified enough, but Kanile'a make very good choices with their baritone strings. This has bronze wound strings for the basses and clear nylon strings for the trebles. I can't stress enough that a good baritone, to me, has depth and character. So a lot of people try and play baritones with unwound strings because that's what they know from their smaller ukuleles, and what they get is a sound that's not kind of neither here nor there. It sounds thin. Kanile'as sound so big, they fill the room. They actually fill the room for me more than the brightness of a steel string acoustic guitar. I'm looking for that warmth, I'm looking for that depth, I'm looking for those Barry White vibes. Let's give this K1B a play and see what you think. Okay, and the last ukulele we'll look at today is in a completely different world to the ukuleles we've just looked at. It's not Hawaiian koa, but it is Hawaiian made. This is a Kanile'a Manu Hu baritone. The concept of the Manu Hu ukulele came about after we did the very successful Monaco series. Everyone seemed to love the Monaco series, and we wanted to kind of branch out and do something a bit more ostentatious. And Kanile'a have slight kind of history alongside their standard models of making very nice one-off customs with bird inlays, and I thought, well, let's tap into that and make something that doesn't have, you know, like a bird on the top inlaid in, but has a story that goes alongside that, hence the Manu Hu. So the Manu Hu inlay, that is the Hawaiian hummingbird, which is a featured bird in Hawaiian fairy tales. It's in a couple of different kids stories. I like the idea of that. You have a curly redwood top. I spec this ukulele up because I am a fingerstyle player. The idea being, you know, what would I make? I wanted a ukulele that was loud and clear and crisp and had all of the benefits of an acoustic guitar without sounding like an acoustic guitar. And that's kind of Kanile'a's wheelhouse. I've always felt like they were the masters of the baritone. You really don't have to go far back in our other videos to see that I consistently rate Kanile'a as the best baritone company in the world. This curly redwood ukulele on the top with Clara walnut back and sides. I wanted to match the woods to the same part of North America, so these are kind of Californian indigenous woods. You have an ebony fingerboard and bridge with the toothpaste inlays. Now these are block inlays, epoxy dyed resin, red, white and blue to match the Manu Hu motif here on the fingerboard. And if you're thinking, why red, white and blue? Is it Argentina? Is it France? Is it Netherlands? Well, the answer, my friends, is that's completely up to you. You can decide what this means. For me, I just wanted some cool inlays that were block inlays, colour matched to the bird logo itself, so that when I look down on stage, I could always see what I'm looking for. You do still have side dots. In fact, every Manu Hu ukulele has side dots on both sides of the fingerboard, so that a lefty could buy one without having to modify it. You have a white plastic rosette and white binding. They call it Ivoroid. It's a creamy white binding, really nice high-end looking traditional binding. Reminds me a lot of Gibson guitars in the 1930s. And then the machine heads are my favourite machine heads. They are hip shot tuners. So they're an open gear tuner with a really nice thick cog and a really high turn ratio. They're really accurate. They don't feel clumsy. They don't feel soft. They take their time to get where they need to go. You still have a 38mm nut width on all Kanile'a baritones and a satin neck with a UV gloss finish on the body. So it's high gloss, it's tight, it's crisp, it's loud, it's bombastic, it's stunning. This is the Manu Hu baritone. Last uke of the day. Let's give it a play. Went too far, didn't I? There you have it, folks. We've taken a look at every Kanile'a ukulele I could physically get my hands on. What was your favourite? Please let us know in the comments section. If you have any questions, you can contact any of us in store on 01202 430 820 or email the store alex@ukulele.co.uk. I'm actually blown away. I came in very, very early this morning to film this video because I wanted the space and time to do it right. And before I go, I'm just going to share a tiny teaser with you for the next video. It's a good job I came in the early hours of this morning because something very, very special has just arrived. The first in a series of ukuleles exclusive to Southern Ukulele Store from another Hawaiian ukulele company. Does anyone recognise the case yet? Let us know in the comments section if you can tell without reading that logo who it is, and I'll join you in a few days' time.